the 16th chapter. These chapters, which will be concluded, this section in chapter 17, is about the unique quality of the mind, which is the seat of the divine soul, and has the power to overcome the feelings of the heart that are self-directed. Self-preservation. Self-preservation can be not just of life itself, but emotionally, mentally, and so on. We are geared to be self-directed. The mind has a power that we can meditate upon, think upon the greatness of God, our relationship with God, the realness of God. That Hashem is mamish. He is not just an idea. And the more we do that and meditate and ponder, the more that it can bring to a feeling in the heart. It can even be a palpable feeling in the heart of love and awe. But this chapter, and the uniqueness of this chapter, is that the Alter Rebbe is saying, we're not all capable of that. Not a fault of ours, but that we should have a palpable feeling in our hearts towards the divine, towards God. Is not all of us are capable of that. So what's left then? Well, you can have what's called an intellectual love, or an understanding heart. Tfunas ha'ava, as it's called in Hebrew. Tfuna coming from the word from bina, understanding. Ahava, love. Love is a feeling. Love's not understanding. But sometimes you don't have the feeling that comes from one's understanding, but you have an intellectual love or an understanding heart. And the Alter Rebbe says, well, that's fine. Because if it brings you, as perhaps what it's done for some of you today, to come and learn right now, or to give charity, or to men putting, Jewish men putting on your tefillin, praying to God, it's brought you to that, then it brought you to the mitzvah. It brought you to the study of Torah. It brought you to serve God. Then that's fine. It didn't go from here to here to here. In other words, from the brain to palpable feelings in the heart that brings us to thought, speech, and action towards connecting to God, to serving the divine. That's okay, because it brought you to, in the end, to serve. Because at that time you could have just done self-directed things if you didn't think about or meditate or ponder upon one's relationship to God, or God's relationship to creation, whatever it is of godliness. So it comes out to them now. It says this, this is it's a novel thing to say this, because till now we're saying that the mind has dominion over the heart, so therefore, where the heart has a natural inclination for self-love, it can now produce a divine love. Which has a lot more to say about this. By the way, TRC today at 4:30. So there's the what's so here that's a big novel statement to make, that the feelings doesn't come, but yet it's as the Alter Rebbe says, a pure, whole, complete divine service. Even though it's only a sense in my mind that I know I should be, cleaving to God with my heart. I should be pining away to connect. I know I should, and hence I act in that way based on that. So he says this is actually hinted in a principle that is taught by our sages in the Talmud. This idea of tfuna ahava, the intellectual love, because our sages say that that God, Kodesh Baruch Hu, the Holy One, blessed be He, joins a good thought to the deed. Which, what does that mean? He joined a good thought to the deed. What it should, the author says, what it really should have said is that it's as if you did the good deed. In other words, you had in mind to do something good, something happened, you couldn't do it, you're going to go, visit that person in the hospital, you were, and you were planning to do it, and then something, something came up and you weren't able to. So God considers as if you did the deed. That's how most people understand this. But then, Alter says, and it should be that he doesn't join the thought to the good deed. It should say that the Torah considers that the good thought that you had was actually like as if you did it. It doesn't say that. It says God is joining the thought to the deed. So the explanation is like this: that the normal way is the mind. Normal, I should say, not that we're not normal. That by design, the mind, having dominion over the heart, should bring to the heart a feeling towards God. But it didn't. You had the good thought. The good thought was there. The thought of connecting, the thought meaning that you were meditating, you're pondering God and your connection to Him. What God needs from you. God in His relationship to the world. God beyond the world. All of that you were thinking about and meditating upon, right? And it didn't come about that you got a palpable feeling in your heart. You kind of like passed it. The good thought, though, God joins it to the deed. In other words, it kind of goes through the heart, doesn't go completely in the heart, but He joins it to the deed. Right? Because the normal way is, when you have something, it's interesting. Why does it have to go through the heart? Why can't from the mind go to your action? Is because the soul and the mind, in the brain, and the thought in the brain is very abstract and ethereal. That's what idea is. A thought is. Whereas action is very material, very concrete. An action is very concrete, right? You take a pen and you write. That's a concrete thing. Or you move the pen. That is very concrete. So how do you take from an idea and bring it into the concrete and concretize it in action? You need something in between. It's called the heart, right? The heart is an internal organ. It's a source of vitality, and yet it's corporal. It's not like the mind, right? I'm listening today about artificial intelligence. Ooh, but can't figure out. Scientists can't figure where does the consciousness of the brain come from. They don't get it. They don't understand it because they don't understand the concept of soul. That's soul that's there, right? Because it's not physical. So of course a scientist isn't going to get it. And that's why they can't make a robot that will have consciousness. Might be able to spew out answers much better than we could for things, but it's not going to be able to have consciousness. It's abstract. It's right, that thought in the mind, the consciousness of it. So from it to come to action, which is very concrete, it goes through a medium called the heart. the heart, well, is an internal, is much more, it's a source of vitality of the blood that flows through, but it's also very corporeal at the same time, as opposed to the brain and the thoughts in the brain and the capability of consciousness and awareness in the brain and the brain functions, right? So normally it needs to go through the heart to give the feeling in the heart that gives vitality, and that's why the passion that you have that comes from the heart that brings now to the actions that are done with in a vital way, with vitality. So you're doing the mitzvah of giving tzedakah, charity, with vitality because it's gone through the heart from the brain, from an idea. Or that you, right? So the problem again is, but it's not going through the heart. It's not gaining that vitality to give that mitzvah a passion that now it actually has wings called love and fear of God, love and awe, that allows that mitzvah to ascend, to have wings to fly on high, to be elevated. That's what love does. That's what awe does. It gives wings. It gives that passion that you're doing in the mitzvah, gives the wings that can fly high. And here it's missing. That passion might be missing, but the love is still there in the heart. Hidden. It's there hidden. It's in the recesses of the heart. So it's not clothing itself in the performance of the mitzvah in a passionate way, giving vitality to it, but it's still there. Right? It's still there, and because of that, so God joins it. The thought kind of, in a sense, it skips the heart, it only because it doesn't have the passion of the heart in a revealed way. But the love is there within the heart, deep down in the soul. So it's not enclosed in it yet. God joins it to unite with action that allows it to have wings to fly on high, to elevate. And that's what it means, that the fear and love, the awe and love, that one is in the good thought. So it's not actual awe and actual love of God in the way that it's palpable in the heart, right, in a revealed way. But it is in the recesses of the heart. It is an understanding heart. It is an intellectual love that joins to the deed. Because of that, you did the deed. And that's what it means, our sages in the Talmud that say that a good thought that a person does, God joins it to the action and allows it to be elevated, to have wings, to fly on high to the divine above. Powerful idea. In the Zohar and the Eitz Chaim, they explain that the Hebrew word for tvuna, understanding, comprises of the words ben ubas, meaning son and daughter. Because when son and daughter, the son represents love and the daughter represents fear, awe. For another time to explain why that is that way. Meaning your understanding creates a birth of love and awe. That's the idea of son and daughter that's created, right, by a union. So by your understanding of the divine, it creates a love and awe of the Almighty. In the word tvuna, which is the understanding. But because the heart might not be a vessel to contain it, to create a palpable feeling, but yet it has, deep within it, an understanding heart. So God joins it to the action and elevates the performance of the mitzvah that we carry out. So if that good thought was based on a meditation of our relationship with God, the greatness of God, then it will be elevated to the world of Bria, the world of creation. If it was based on the natural hidden love that the soul has, then it will be elevated, the natural tendency of the soul to have an awe and love of God, not through our understanding, but through the nature of the soul. Then it will be elevated, that mitzvah that we perform, to the world of Yetzirah. So, bottom line is, we are not really capable of creating a conscious, palpable feeling of love and awe of God in our heart. Yet, even though we don't, and we still should think about our connection to God, our relationship to God, and understanding He Himself. We should therefore do that. But because even though we won't get a real feeling, but we'll have an understanding heart, we'll have an intellectual love that will lead us to perform a mitzvah. And that mitzvah will have wings. It's going to fly on high. It's going to ascend to the divine order of things above. What that means, it will ascend to the divine order of things. We just got a little glimpse of this. We'll have more on that later on in chapters 38, 39, 40. But that's just the basic idea right now. The point is, we should still try to best appreciate and understand God and godliness, even though it may not come to a real, palpable feeling in our hearts towards God, but it will lead us to do the mitzvah. That's the most important. More on that will be in the forthcoming class. All right. Any questions, any comments, any thoughts? Powerful. Reminder, TRC tonight at 4:30. This afternoon at 4:30. You don't want to miss it. It's good stuff. John, will further meditation on the love and awe of God help those souls noted gestation give birth to their emotions? It's not meditation on the love and awe of God. It's meditation about God, right? It's the mind that should produce a feeling in the heart. That's the, just to give us a little context on this, the way of the human condition is the opposite. What I have a desire for, I use my brain to figure out how to get what I want. Right? What's that based? It's based on you have a feeling in your heart for something. You desire something. You desire money. Maybe because you want security. Maybe because you want to, have power. Whatever. Right? That's what you desire. I'm giving that as an example. So now you use your brain on how to do well in business, right? And to make the money, get the power, feel secure, and so on. That's the normal way we function. That's the human condition. That's from the animal soul. That's all about self-preservation. Whether it's self-preservation, having food on the table, or having power, right? And that power doesn't mean for bad. Self-preservation, having food on the table is not bad, but it's self-directed. So it's not godly, and therefore that's called klipa. That's klipa. That's covering over on God. Because it's all about you, me, myself, and I. That's all it's about. Having food on the table is all about me. Again, it's normal. Normal. And that's the normal way we function. Here we're talking about something completely different. Completely different. That you're starting off with your understanding of God. You're coming with the intellectual appreciation of the presence of God, for example. When you think about that, you meditate upon that, and it becomes somewhat real for you. God's presence, for example, right? In the here and now. And then maybe you ponder how God's beyond the here and now. He transcends, encompassing all the worlds, right? You think about that. And it doesn't bring to a feeling in the heart that's palpable. That's the point over here. It doesn't bring a feeling that's palpable in the heart. You have an understanding heart, intellectual love. That's amazing, says the Alter Rebbe. Because that's what our sages say, that when you have a good thought, and this is a real good thought, right? God joins it to action and allows that mitzvah to fly on high with love and awe of God, even though it wasn't palpable. Because there's a love and awe of God in the soul, the hidden love. That's, wow, amazing. Ella has a question. How can we get to the level of love and awe of God? Should we be looking in our lives and seeing all the good things that God has given us? For sure, but that's not enough, because then it's not about God, it's about you and what you get from God. So that's important. That's an important step. It's called appreciation of everything you have in your life. Right? But that's not sufficient, because then it's all about you and what you have in your life. So is it a real love and awe of God? No. It's a love and awe of the power of God, what he can do for you. Not of him. Human relations, we have the same problem. I love your smile because it just lifts me up and makes me feel great about myself. I love your kindness. It's so, which is great. We should. We have to love the goodness of others, right? Absolutely. And even how it affects us. There's more in a relationship. And there's more in our relationship with God. He's God. Understand him as God, not what he just does for you. So that is a good beginning point, but it's not sufficient, because it won't give, So how do we work on that? Come to TRC. Sorry, Bella. All this stuff is TRC stuff that we go into greater depth on how we can do this and implement these things. And it's amazing that you're getting a chance that you can try it out risk-free. But yeah. Is gratitude the same as Vicky? No, again, gratitude is just about you. That's what we just mentioned. So I don't know if you asked this before or after. So it's important, gratitude. Now, I don't want to diminish the value of gratitude. God forbid. Of course, we have to have gratitude to others when they do something kindly. Right? We have to have gratitude to God, of course, no question about that. But that's only a very beginning level. That's not about God and his greatness. It's about his greatness vis-a-vis me. So it's not about him. So when we learn Chassidus and we learn about God as creator and we can appreciate him within creation, and we can meditate upon that. Right. So chapters 41 through 50 are a lot of different meditations about how to develop the love and awe of God. So we're going to get there. Vida, where's your question? What happens, Vida's asking, when one sins or has bad thoughts? Does it harden the heart or bypass it and give it wings to fly? Well, bad thoughts, sinful thoughts, are sinful, right? When you cogitate a thought, it's sinful. And we got to, work on that. Fix that. It doesn't fly out. It doesn't, it flies to Klippa, not to Kedusha, not to holiness above. Yeah, it does have an effect, of course. Amazing. Thank you, everybody. Very impressed. Okay. Vicky, but I suppose it's still about my enjoyment of the beauty. There's also gratitude of the beauty around us. Yes, absolutely. Again, I don't want to diminish that. We of course have to, to have gratitude of the beauty around us, the goodness around us, what God has done for us in our lives. Absolutely. No question about that. But this is taking it to another level. That's not sufficient. That's a beginning. But there's an appreciation of God as God. I want to take this in human terms also. If we appreciate our spouse or our children or our parents or anybody just vis-a-vis the things they do for us, that's great, but not great enough. Because implied by that, and the feelings we'll get from that, and the relationship we'll have with that, your value is based on the things that you have done for me, and that's what I appreciate about you. But then there's appreciating the person, not because of what they did for you, or for anybody, but for who they are. For just who they are, period. Not for what they did, but for who they are. It's TRC stuff. Again, you've been doing a lot of that. I'm Rabbi Ronnie Fine, coming to you from Chabad Zuch and Kadesh in Montreal, Canada. It's a privilege and a pleasure to share with you the Tanya. Have an amazing day. Thank you for joining. Rambam.